Welcome to Policing TV. Each week we will explore the highlights from our latest videos, diving into topics like AI, technology, drugs, and the people shaping the future of policing. At the end of January, we saw Scarlett Haig interview Professor of Organisational Behaviour Mark Fenton-O'Creevy on his recently published paper in the Journal of Policing. His fascinating focus: how does ignorance get produced, used and reproduced in an organisation?
I'm, as you said, a professor of organisational behaviour, and what that means is that I study behaviour in and by organisations, and I've been doing that for just over 30 years, including studies of what goes on inside investment banks, large multinational companies and so on. And in more recent years, I've started to get very interested in policing organisations. And I'm part of a centre at the Open University called the Centre for Policing, Learning and Research, which has members from more than half the forces in the UK.
Brilliant. And you recently published an article in the Journal of Policing, is that right?
Yeah. So really the research question we started with was, how do organisations that employ many good people end up by failing to notice, prevent or address lots of egregious bad behaviour by members of the organisation? And it's not a unique thing to policing, this kind of problem, but the people like myself, scholars of organisations, have for many, many years been very interested in how does knowledge get created, used and responded to in organisations. But more recently, we've become interested in something that's at the kind of the reverse of that, which is, how does ignorance get produced, used and reproduced in organisations? And that's the sort of frame which we used for looking at the research that we conducted in the end. And how it started actually was back in 2023, the centre I'm part of had organised a workshop for police officers and staff and academics like myself to look together at what kind of research could be helpful in thinking about the kinds of legitimacy problems that policing was facing, post, for example, the Sarah Everard murder and other kinds of things that came to light. And I was very struck by the way in which many of the policing practitioners present in the workshop talked about the way things got ignored, or the way things that were known didn't get acted on in their organisation. So I introduced some ideas from this emerging literature on the ways ignorance is produced, and for example, strategies that organisations use to ignore uncomfortable knowledge. And what was quite interesting was that this way of thinking about it really resonated with a lot of the people in the workshop, who immediately said, yeah, no, I can give you examples of that in my organisation. So that started to be quite an important way of framing things.
Our penultimate video in January came from the warm climate of Dubai at the Intersec Policing Conference and Exhibition. We hear from our roving reporter Bernard Ricks, who was joined by, amongst others, Trevor Dickinson McLaughlin, ex-New Zealand Police, and Eddie Reyes from US law enforcement.
These gentlemen are going to be accompanying me today. So, Eddie, Trev, just a few words of introduction from yourselves to get us underway, if you would.
Thank you so much, Bernard. So honored to be here with my esteemed friends, Bernard and Trev. Just delighted to play such an integral role after, my 32 years of policing and 911 service in the United States, now coming and sharing my experience here with so many professionals in the UAE and really from around the world. So such an honor to be here to learn so much about these professionals, learn about all the technology, and really at the end of the day, We're here to keep people safe. Trev?
I'm here from New Zealand, ex-New Zealand Police, and looking forward to my first conference here and getting to understand what the environment is like here in the UAE and how they go around keeping people safe.
Gentlemen, I'm delighted to be here in Dubai with you both.
Our final video in a packed month saw us publish highlights of the first webinar in Series 1 of the Policing Tech Forum on the topic of interoperability. In this clip, we hear from Deputy Chief Constable Simon Medjicks on his thoughts as to some of the reasons Single Online Home has succeeded.
It's all about applying the what's in it for me approach. For good tech is if it's easy, it makes life easier. So there's something around, and we've done this with Single Online Home, around this kind of soft launching and getting people to understand that it makes their lives easier. There is a lot that we expect about whether it's call handlers, whether it's members of staff, whether it's our officers. The public expect us to do a great deal, bluntly, expect us to work hard and give them a great service. But we as senior leaders need to give them tech that makes sense to them. And I think the sooner we kind of head towards convergent points, and it allows the tech organisations, and for us, as I said earlier, for us to go out into the marketplace and be quite muscular and say, this is what we want. We know it's out there. We want it at this particular price point, and we want it across all of us. That's hard because it means that each chief gives up a degree of sovereignty. We have to deliver at certain rates. And we know historically what's our history around delivering national product? Not very good. That's why, again, Single Online Home's different in that respect. Never been nationally mandated. We've sold the benefits. Each time we've gone to another force and sold the benefits. What we can offer is better than what you've got at a good price, and it's going to give you better services if you change your processes. I think we need to be continually thinking about how we do that intelligently, working with trusted suppliers in the tech industry that are not going to have us over, not just going to take a quick profit and disappear, going to share the risk and help us grow, because there's no way that the service can evolve into the service that the public need us to be without good and strong relationships with tech companies.
Simon, thank you. And I'd say this really sort of brings us to the end of the webinar. Can I just take...
Thank you for watching. Tune in next week.